In the beginning of the story, we are shown a desolate world. Many people of the world have died due to some epidemic. The infection that killed humans had no effect on the animals. Now there was no traffic on the roads. Factories were closed. Due to the absence of pollution for a long time, nature brought the earth back to life. Greenery was spreading everywhere. That's why the animals were living very comfortably in this environment, and only a few people are alive on this earth who know survival. One of the few people we see is Eddie. He lived with his mom since childhood, but his mom died due to the epidemic, and he was able to survive because his uncle used to send him survival books since childhood. And because of those books, Eddie is able to survive today. He doesn't live in his house anymore because his house has become a mess. Not only his house, everything here has become so bad. He lives in a small bunker outside his house. He has some food and drink, but it won't last long. That's why he sits on his cycle every day and goes to the surrounding area to find food and necessities. And during this work, it has become common for him to find dead bodies in the houses. Eddie is also a lonely man living in his area, and he has searched his entire area. As soon as he has run out of food and drink, he has only a cycle. He doesn't want to go too far because he is afraid that if he finds a human being on the way, he might starve himself and eat him. Eddie was very bored with his life. He couldn't even use his mobile phone to pass time because there was no electricity in the world. And there was no one to make electricity. He had read all the books he had, and now he does gardening to pass his time. After a lot of hard work, he was able to grow some vegetables. And that's why he was very happy. At night, he lies under the moon and suddenly he hears some strange sounds. He gets scared and goes back to his bunker. In the morning, as per routine, he took his cycle and went in search of necessary things. He found a small solar panel on the roof of a house. Seeing this, he was very happy. He brings it home and charges his phone with it. After charging his phone, he listens to songs and enjoys as much as he can. After that, he watches his mom's video on his phone and gets very sad. He was watching his mom after a long time, but still couldn't talk to her. He watches these videos until his phone turns off. After that, he goes back to the garden. He finds out that the sounds he heard at night were the sounds of animals, and those animals had destroyed all the vegetables he had grown. After seeing all this, he doesn't understand anything. All his hopes are now over. He now collects the seeds of these vegetables. He could have grown vegetables again, but again waiting for so long to eat. This thought makes him very angry, and in anger, he hits the axe on his own feet. Blood was also coming out of his wound, which increases the risk of infection in him. He could have died. That's why he takes some of his survival books and makes medicine for himself, and puts it on his wound. At night, he looks at his uncle and aunt's photo and thinks that they must be alive too. I have come to survive because of them, and they must be surviving so well. He now thinks, why don't I go to them too? Such a life might be a little easier, but it was difficult to do this through a cycle. He first makes a complete plan. He decides a route through a road map, following which he will go to his uncle's house, which can take 2 weeks, if everything goes well. This night was very difficult for him now, because he had to leave his house, where he had collected a lot of things. Anyway, he leaves the next morning. He used to ride a cycle from morning to evening at night. He used to sleep in a tank, and he was using the things he had to eat and drink on the road. And the good thing was that if Eddie found a building on the way, then some things would be arranged from there too. Everything was fine for a week, but one night when he wakes up, he sees that the deer has ruined all his water. Along with that, the deer has also broken his solar charger, with the help of which he was able to charge his phone. Seeing this, he gets so angry that he shoots all his pistol bullets in vain, after which he regrets a lot. What did he do? He kept moving forward, and on the way he found a river. Seeing this, he is very happy, because the water was arranged again. After collecting the water, he left from there, and climbed on a rough road. He was riding the cycle very fast. Suddenly, his cycle falls into a pit. This pit was covered with some things which clearly meant that someone had made this trap. He also tries to get out of this pit, but he fails. He lit a lot of firecrackers, that someone will come to help him, but no one came. In the morning, he notices that someone is watching him. Without thinking, he shoots him. The person who was here was a girl, and she was saved from Eddie's bullet. This girl says to Eddie, "Give me your weapons. Only then I will help you get out of this pit." First, Eddie doesn't listen to her. But when he feels that he has no other option, he gives the gun to that girl. But he is not so stupid that he gives the gun to that girl with bullets, and that girl kills him. After taking the gun, this girl says to Eddie, "Prove that you are not an infected person on this." Eddie puts his shirt up and shows it to her. There was no mark on his body, which is due to infection. Eva also shows her body and convinces her that she also has no infection. Eva now takes Eddie out of the pit and asks him to give him bullets, but Eddie refuses. These people go to sleep, and the next morning, when Eddie wakes up, Eva had a knife on his neck. She was asking him about the bullets. As soon as Eddie tells him about the bullets, she puts the bullets in the gun and runs away. Eddie didn't understand why Eva did this. Suddenly, he hears the voice of three people. He understands that Eva ran away from these people. These three men had weapons, and these three were looking very cruel. To escape from them, Eddie hides in the grass on the other hand. Eva was on the tree. She threw a gun at these three. When these people saw Eddie's camp here, they wanted to find out who would have lived in this camp. Eddie thinks that by finding out the owner of this camp, these people will reach Eva sitting on the tree in front. Her life will be in danger, so he quickly makes a mark on his body like an infection with some flowers and goes to such a place and lies down from where they see him. When these people come close to him, they think that Eddie is dead because of the infection. That means Eddie's plan worked. Now, because these men had found out about the camp, they left from there. Eddie and Eva set up their camp again, and here Eddie found out that Eva is pregnant. He asks Eva about her husband, to whom she tells that he is dead. These people hide in the ruins to escape from those men when that man was eating their food. Eddie goes somewhere far and arranges 2 cycles, and he had decided that now he would take Eva with him. Half of the journey was done by Eddie. Now it took him only 1 week to go to Uncle, but Eva was not ready to go with him because, according to her, the area where Eddie's uncle lived was not safe at all. But Eddie had complete faith in his uncle. He tells Eva that if you don't want to go with me, then it's okay, but I will definitely go. Now, because Eva didn't have any other option, she also agreed. These two leave. Eva didn't know how to ride a cycle well, that's why it took them a lot of time, but Eddie supported her completely. Now their routine was going on, that he used to ride a cycle all day, hunt a little bit, and cook his prey at night and eat it. Because the first food he had was looted by those 3 robbers. But Eddie was still happy because at least he got Eva's face at the same time. Eddie started liking Eva. That's why he was finding everything very beautiful. But he was unaware of the fact that those 3 bad guys were still after him. Eddie was taking a lot of care of Eva. That's why Eva also started liking Eddie. On the way, Eva and Eddie find a pond. Eddie jumps into the pond for swimming. When he comes out after swimming, he sees 3 men behind him at the same time who tells him about Eva and says that we have nothing to do with you. You just tell us about Eva and hand over Eva to us. We will not kill Eva because Eva is working as a resource for them. They will eat the baby that will be born. Eddie now understood that Eva was running away from these people because they were torturing Eva. That man again talks to Eddie and says that if you love your life, then you leave Eva. Otherwise, we will kill you because there is no competition in the game of survival. Despite all these bad things, Eddie is not afraid. He takes Eva and keeps moving towards his destination. And finally, after a few days of travel, they reach their uncle's house. Eva was very happy to reach here because now she was getting a bed to sleep and some food to eat. But here Eddie was very worried because he had not seen his uncle at home yet. When he comes out of the house, his fear really changes. His uncle was also dead, and he had a grave outside the house. His last hope is also gone. He had become an enemy of the 3 men. Eddie now gets sad and worried about all this. He goes to Eva and asks the truth of those men. Eva does not hide anything at this time, and tells her that when the brother of the 3 was doing injustice to him, he killed him and ran away. These 3 kept following him, but Eva did not tell Eddie anything, and that's why there is a fight between the 2. Eva kept crying, and Eddie took his belongings and went out of the house, where he now faced those 3 men. Those 3 men pointed a gun at Eddie and told him to hand over Eva to them. If you want, we can share Eva, because this is the new rule of this new world, But Eddie did not want to meet his bad intentions. He runs away to save his life and shoots a bullet in the air before running away so that Eva wakes up and saves her life. Here Eddie, who was trying to run away, a man catches him, and before he kills Eddie, someone comes from behind and kills this man. It was Eddie's aunt. Now there were two men left, one of whom had gone to Eva, and the other was running towards him to kill him, that in the middle he gets stuck in a trap set by his aunt, and the poor man dies there. Now Eddie and Eddie's aunt go to them to save Eva, but a bad man standing far away from Eva shoots him, which Eddie puts on his aunt's shoulder. That man shoots another bullet, and Eddie runs away from there, and taking advantage of the opportunity, this man starts to vent his anger on Eva. He beats his stomach hard. Eddie, who was watching all this, now makes a little noise and distracts this bad man. And as soon as he gets a chance, Eva shoots an arrow from behind and kills this man. Finally, all the danger is over for him, and so Eddie, Eva, and his aunt start living together as a family. And this story ends here.